Hello, I'm Jim, and the paper I'm going to present is called Multi-Dimensional Auction Mechanisms for Crowdsourced Mobile Video Streaming. So proper incentive mechanism is needed for crowdsourced mobile video streaming, but designing an incentive mechanism is challenging. So in this work, the authors propose single object and multi-object, multi-dimensional auction mechanisms. And they show that these auction mechanisms can achieve truthfulness and efficiency. And they also show that proposed mechanisms outperforms non-cooperative streaming by 48.6% on average in terms of social welfare. They have also showed that those users who provide resources to others and users who receive helps can increase their welfares by 15.5% and 35.4% on average via cooperation, respectively. So I'm going to explain a little bit of background. So they use the crowdsourced mobile streaming system, which enables mobile users to form cooperative groups and share their network resources for more effective mobile video streaming. And the CMS system is very suitable for the adaptive bitrate video streaming, ABR technology. In ABR, a video is partitioned into multiple video segments, and each video segment is encoded at multiple bit rates. A video user can choose the bitrate of each segment based on his preference and the real-time network condition. So the success of such CMS system requires a proper incentive mechanism. So to design the proper mechanism, they have to consider these factors. So first is receiver selection, second, the bitrate adaptation, and third, the cost compensation. But designing these proper incentive mechanism in the CMS system is really challenging because the user's valuation for a segment at a particular bitrate is the user's private information, and it can vary over time. Moreover, video scheduling in ABR is segment-based instead of time slot-based. So it will be a challenging work to design a proper incentive mechanism in the CMS system. So in this work, the author proposed the auction-based incentive mechanisms for the CMS system to handle the user's private valuation revaluation. So they have introduced the SOMD auction framework, and then they expanded it to multi-object, multi-dimensional auction framework. So these are the theoretical framework of this paper. So these are the main contributions of this paper. They have proposed the auction-based incentive mechanisms in the CMS system, and they have shown the truthful and efficient auction. They also proposed modified mechanism, and they have proposed the real-world demonstration system, and they have shown the experiments and the performances. So let's look at the system model. So as I have mentioned before, they use the adaptive bitrate streaming, and they use this typical ABR streaming protocol in the CMS system. This protocol has these key three features, which are video segmentation, multi-bitrate encoding, and data buffering. And yes, as I have mentioned before, they have used the crowdsourced mobile streaming system, which can form the mesh network and share their network resources and cooperatively download the requested segments of the entire group through cellular links, and then forward segments to the actual requesting users through Wi-Fi direct links. They define the user model. So the objective of all of these system is to increase the social welfare, to increase the efficiency. So they defined welfare generated through the downloading operation between two users. So in the downloading operation between two users, a user N downloads a sequence of a total K segments with bit rates R, R1, R2, and all RK respectively for a user M where Ri is larger than 0 for all I. They define the cost of the downloader for user N like this. User N's cost for downloading and transmitting video segments with the bit rates. So on the cost of the downloader, they have to consider the bit rates for the cost of the user N's at the time t. So total cost of the downloader will be the sum of all those K segments cost to download all the K segments. They have also defined the utility of the receiver. So in the utility of receiver, they have considered those three factors, which are video quality gain, buffer filling gain, and quality degradation loss. So video quality gain is the user's gain in terms of the video segment quality. A user has a higher gain if he receives a segment with the higher bit rate. And this theta is the user-dependent factor, which reflects users M's desire for a high-quality video. Buffer filling gain is the user's gain in terms of filling the playback buffer, which is the gain related to the segment number K only. A user will have a higher gain if he receives more segments in an allocation, as this leads to a reduced chance of video freezing. Here, the B denotes user M's real-time buffer level at time t, which is measured in terms of the playback time. And the quality degradation loss is the user's loss when the video degrades from a higher bitrate to the lower bitrate. So in the downloading operation by user N for user M, the generated welfare is defined as the difference between user M's utility and the user N's cost. The total social welfare of this system is the sum of the welfares that are generated through all the downloading operations among all the users. And they did the problem formulation like this with the factors that I have mentioned before, which are receiver, bitrate, and payment. And with this problem formulation, they have proposed the single object auction and the multi-object auction. So let's first take a look at the single object auction based mechanism. Here, SOMD stands for the single object multidimensional. So in SOMD auction, an auctioneer allocates one segment in one auction. And since the video segments are encoding at multiple bit rates in ABR, a bidder needs to specify multi-dimensional information in the bid, his intended bit rate, and the price he is willing to pay for such a bit rate. So here is the SOMD auction framework. First, the auctioneer announces auction rules, including the allocation rule and the payment rule. Then each bidder M submits a bid to maximize his own expected payoff. Then the auctioneer N determines the winner and the winner's payment according to the announced rules. After they have selected the winner, the auctioneer will download a segment for winner at the bit rate specified in the winner's bid. In a multidimensional auction, however, the auctioneer cannot determine the winner by simply choosing the bidder with the highest price. This is because the bid rate of bidder will affect the auctioneer's downloading cost and hence the auctioneer's payout. So to the end, they have introduced the score function here. Given the bid rate R and the price P submitted by the bidder M, the single object score is defined as like this. So intuitively, such a score function increases with the bidder's price and decreases with the bidder's bid rate. And here, now finally, we have mechanism 1, which is second score auction. Here, the winner will be the bidder with the highest score, and the winner's payment is the price that derives the second high score under his bid rate. Now let's take a look at the truthfulness and the optimal bid rate. So proposition 1, truthfulness. Given any bid rate bidding strategy R, the optimal price bidding strategy P of a bidder M is his true utility under the selected bid rate R. And proposition 2, optimal bid rate. The optimal bid rate bidding strategy R of a bidder M is given by this equation. So they show that each bidder will submit his bid according to proposition 1 and 2 to maximize his expected payoff. Now let's take a look at the efficiency. So under the optimal bidding behavior specified in proposition 1 and 2, the second score auction with the efficient score function in 20 equation here implements the efficient mechanism that maximizes the social welfare. Now let's move on to the multi-object, multi-dimensional auction framework. Here, in the multi-object, multi-dimensional auction framework, bidders submit multi-dimensional bids, revealing their intended bid rate and price under each segment that might be allocated. So based on the bids, auctioneer allocates the downloading opportunities of the K segments to the multiple bidders. And the framework is overall the same with the SOMD framework, but they have implemented this segment number K here. So auction rules includes the segment number, and their bid rate will be denoted with the bid rate matrix, and they also need the price like in a price factor to denote all the K segments here. They also have defined the Vickery score auction. So this is the score function for the multi-object auction. So here, given the bid rate R and the price P submitted by the bidder M for any number of allocated segments K, multi-object score function is given by this equation. And now we have mechanism 2, Vickery score auction. So in the Vickery score auction, the segment's case receiver is the bidder corresponding to the case highest marginal score. And for the payment rule, if bidder M wins case segment, then his payment corresponds to the score damage caused by this bidder under his submitted bid rate. Now let's take a look at the truthfulness and optimal bid rate. So truthfulness, given any bid rate matrix R, the optimal price factor P of bidder M is his true utility under the selected bid rate matrix R like this, and optimal bid rate for any number of allocated segment K to bidder M, the optimal bid rate factor R is the optimal solution R star of the following optimization problem like this. So actually it's just about maximizing his expected payoff. And just like the SOMD, auction, efficiency is achieved. So under the optimal bidding behavior specified in propositions 3 and 4, the Vickery score auction with the efficient score function in equation 38 implements the efficient mechanism that maximizes social welfare. The author proposed two auction-based incentive mechanisms for single segments and multiple segments downloading, respectively. However, since the social welfare maximization is performed in each auction independently, the long-term social welfare across multiple rounds of auction may not necessarily achieve the maximum in some cases. So they have proposed the modified mechanism to increase the long-term social welfare by avoiding unexpected bit rate degradation and rebuffer. So here they refine from bidding if both of the following conditions are satisfied. For first, the link capacity of auctioneer N is low, so that downloading for user M will result in rebuffer. And second, when the link capacity of auctioneer N is lower than the downloading capacity, then allocates to user M, which is the sum of the capacity that each user M's encountered users allocates to user M. And this is the results of the experiments. So here they have shown that in the cooperation scenario, in the multidimensional mechanism, they have reached the performing in the social welfare and average bit rate and rebuffer and quality degradation. This is the result on the experiment about the auction overhead. So here in the figure 7, as the cost per auction increases, the social welfare decreases. But the larger K may be better than K1 because of its smaller total overhead. And same here for the time consumption. And lastly, it's the experiment on the realistic performance over the demo system. For the demo system, I recommend you to reference the paper. So here, figure 8 is about the experiment on welfare increase for high and low capacity users. So here figure 8 shows that here C and D do not suffer from rebuffer to the help from user A and B. And table 3 shows that users' average nominalized welfare over the experiments are higher in cooperation scenario than the non-cooperation scenario. And figure 9 shows the video streaming stability. So here, even though user B is disconnected from the internet, he is still able to watch the video with the help from user A. So this demonstrates the practical benefit of the CMS system. So for the conclusion, the CMS system enables mobile users to share their downloading capacities for cooperative video streaming. And in this work, they propose truthful and efficient mechanisms that maximize the social welfare. They further construct a demo system to evaluate the real-world performance of the CMS system. And for the future work, it is interesting to design mechanisms that enables the cooperation among users who will encounter in the future based on the prediction of their future mobility. So this is the end of my presentation. Thank you for listening.